Hey guys, Steve here. Today we got a game in the black for you. Tier 7 American Destroyer. Current campaign reward ship. Of course, we can get the Independence, which is a Tier 5 American carrier instead. That's an option. And I'm going to cover that ship probably in the next day or two. Played a couple games in it so far, and it's pretty good for a carrier, you know. I mean, so it's going to be up to you. Maybe you want some more carriers. You got enough American gunboat destroyers, but we'll tell you what exactly is going on with this thing. Now you can see radar here, and we get 3 bursts of that with this build. There's short duration. I think it's about 15 seconds and 7.5 kilometers, I want to say. So we're going to be using it primarily to fight other destroyers, either by utilizing our own smoke cover or attacking them in theirs. But that said, getting back to, well, is this thing overpowered or not, which we've been talking about in the stream lately. Of course, nobody had played it at that point in time. I'm not going to say this is overpowered. In fact, it might not even be as strong as the Fletcher, you know. Now, part of the problem I've been having with the ship, I've played about 10 games or so, typical early access or, early coverage that I like to do on the channel. Play about 10 games, give you guys my early impressions, I guess is what I call it. Half the games have had a Friesland that I've been matched up against, and the Friesland craps all over this thing, okay? Friesland's got a 4.5 kilometer sonar. By the time you know definitively that it's there, you might get your smoke down, you might get your radar down, but it rushes you, and it's usually not that far away, and it'll just smack the crap out of you with the guns, okay? So maybe this ship isn't as hard as it seems, but for some reason all you guys are just playing a Friesland tonight, and it's been causing me some consternation and despair. But anyway, it's certainly a pretty strong destroyer, but looking at the stats here, the Fletcher's reload 2-3 on my build, 3-1 on this, the black. All right, now same amount of guns, same caliber, everything like that, damage. But that's basically 50% more damage per minute out of the Fletcher, which is huge, right? Let's not be kidding ourselves here. The difference mainly, the torpedoes. Here we got the same 2x5 launchers, but instead of a 122 second reload that I got on my Fletcher, here I got a 96. Damage walloping. In fact, looking up and down my charts here, I believe it's second only to the Pablo at tier 7 in terms of damage. Whoa, you got super strong damage torps, you say. Excellent. Range. 10 kilometers. I'm sorry, 13.7 kilometers. Oh, wow. Super long range torpedoes. Hard hitting. What's going on here? The speed of the torps, 43 knots. So we don't aim these torps at ships. If you aim these torpedoes at the ship that you're trying to hit, the odds of you hitting it are extremely low. You got to be going against a guy who will not move his ship for a very long time. These are probably the slowest torps that I can think of in the game. Maybe Marblehead or some of the Italians give it a run for the money. I don't know off the top of my head, but we launch these torps into areas, okay? And because we have really long-range torpedoes, these are great for sending them into caps. Let's say I was playing the middle on this map, but I wanted to send some torps into A or C. That's a viable play, okay? But we're not going to be aiming specifically at ships. We would like to say, okay, there's probably going to be a couple ships over there. And here we actually aim at the Gneisenau now, and I think we're going to hit it, if I recall. So not impossible to hit these, but you get my drift, right? It's very, very hard to hit these things. And usually if you hit them, it's by making a very good prediction like we did there. We predicted a hard turn to the right. And now we're whaling on the Udachi, had the radar up. And this is kind of the power of what's been going on here. We've been trying to avoid him. Here's some more torpedoes. Looks like some widespreads. God bless them for keeping us alive here on Maniac Monday. So now we're backing up. Gneisenau shoots. That brings him back up, and then he turns away from us. He's very close to getting us. Now maybe he's turning to get the guns on, and looks like that might be the case. But I'm expecting him to push into me and then kill me or wreck me. Okay, this is the danger of these battleships close range. Now, all the battleships tier 6 and up previously to this recording, in fact, were almost guaranteed a range guaranteed of RGA, range of guaranteed acquisition. Proxy mod changes their proxy to 3 kilometers. As of today, now all these battleships tier 6 and up will have the option to take concealment, which will drop that proxy spot down to 2. but it's going to certainly take a long time because it's not cheap. It's going to be $1 million per battleship, assuming one is inclined to change over the entire battleship fleet, and especially with the impending Tier 7 credit crunch that we're all anticipating here. How long is it going to take some of these guys that might want to switch to concealment mod over? It's probably going to be a relatively slow process, so you can still safely and smartly assume you're going to get proxy spotted within 3 kilometers for the near future. And here's another example. Iowa, I'm sure we're aiming on the indicator there, but I'm trying to send him in the gap there because I think he might be trying to play in between those islands. And then we'll just send one, around there. We're just shooting towards that position where I think he wants to play. It seems like he's been wanting to play that spot to me since we've been paying attention to him. Get on the cap. More widespreads, thank you. And then, okay, we're almost 1 second away from capturing, but we're going to go for the destroyer here. That cruiser that popped up, that's a little close for comfort. Him combined with the Iowa and the Udachi, who, by the way, can slap. Not at a very quick rate, but it does hit pretty hard. Looking a little dicey for a moment there. Luckily, one of our teams hit him pretty hard with a nice shot, and then we're going to pile on there and finish him off. Smoke, trying to find it, trying to back up into it. Maybe it dissipated. I think it probably did. In fact, so when I was playing that, I was anticipating being able to back into that. Needed to pay better attention to whether or not it was still going to be active. Take some more damage. We need to go ahead and pop that extinguisher. I want to make sure we weren't going to get hit by the dragon and the Wichita across the map and then get started back on fire. So now we're going to capture the base, and we're already thinking, okay, what's the next play? And first, we're going to ping our teammates for in kind of wonderment. Why are you guys all in the back clumped up together? I didn't realize when I was doing that this is a legendary tier game, or a tier 7 game at least, so now it makes more sense now that I think about it. But at the time, I was a little bit exasperated. But anyway, we're thinking, okay, do we want to go to D or do we want to get to A? Well, there's a Wichita sitting on A. We just pinged them. We're not going through a Wichita radar cruiser, right? So as of right now, our options are how do we get into D? And those battleships finally on the west are moving into position to attack the Wichita. And I'm watching the health go down. I'm saying to myself, that probably will be a viable play. I'm going to keep my eye on it. But in the meantime, let's see if we can get this Iowa off the board. Our team's finally kind of spreading out a little bit. They're getting some better shots. It only took about 6 or 7 minutes for them to deploy. But finally, they're coming around, and we're really going to start to exert some pretty good map control at this point in time. So I go ahead and shoot there. We drop as soon as we go around the island. And now I'm thinking to myself, okay, my team's spotting the Iowa. If they can kill him, great, I'm going to go hard into D. If not, we're going to keep an eye on that Wichita, who also, boom, there he goes. I was about to say he looked like he was on the ropes as well. And that was going to be my play. But that's why we're in the middle here. We wanted to have 2 options. And we still have the option to disengage north if anything comes around here unsuspected. Okay, and because there's no destroyer here, maybe popping the radar here just would be a nice play just to make sure nothing's coming around this bend that we haven't accounted for. But we do have all 4 ships more or less spotted on the map, so it's not necessarily a huge thing. But you can think about alternative uses for this radar and even your cruiser radars. When those destroyers are down, you got more radar as well. Go ahead and use them defensively. Just make sure you're not going to be embarrassed or making a mistake by something you're just not paying attention to. Otherwise you're just not going to use them, which is fine. Your service cost will be nominally less than if you use them, but I would consider doing that. So anyway, getting back to the black stats, gun-wise, besides the lower reload, nearly identical to the Fletcher. Better turret verse, but both kick-ass turret verses, so nothing to worry about there. Torpedoes, like I said, vastly different, even though the Fletcher torps are still kind of classic slow zoning type torpedoes as well. These are that on acid or steroids or whatever you want to say. Speed, Fletcher's about a knot and a half faster. Same turn radius, same rudder, same detection, and same smokes and everything else. So pretty comparable ship. Health-wise, identical as well. So not a huge difference between the Fletcher. Mainly the reduction in damage per minute, again, significant. Traded off with a more interesting consumable. We're trading the speed boost, which you can equip, by the way, or the radar are your 2 options for slot 3. So I think it's a fine ship. Like I say, frustrating tonight, but it is Maniac Monday. update Monday. So that's just the life I've chosen, for better or worse. But overpowered, I wouldn't say so. No, I think it's a fine ship. Met my boy, one of the other community contributors. He kept saying maybe it should have been a steel ship, but I think it would have been pretty disappointed in this configuration, at least, had it been. If it had the same reload as the Fletcher and maybe a longer radar, then sure, go ahead and put it as a steel ship. But as it is now, I think it's pretty well balanced for tier 7. Our team did manage to get A, that Boise, I think. I was kind of hoping that these guys would have sank him or at least reset him so I could have grabbed the 3rd cap and really run up the score into a 3,000 point game. But he wisely got the cap. Great play by him. And we're just basically defending the cap / padding the score at this point in time. It's not looking like we're probably going to lose this, but we might as well go ahead and see if we can start him on fire. And note, once again, we put the torps where we think this guy's going to be in a minute, not where it necessarily says he's going or whatever. You know, he was either going to turn hard and chase the Boise or try and disengage behind that church or whatever that thing is on that building or on the island there. So those are my 2 options. And when you can evaluate, you know, that's why I always recommend destroyer players, play battleships, play cruisers, put yourself in their head when we're launching these torps, these slow pounders torps, and say, what is this guy probably going to do? Come up with 1 or 2 things he's going to do, make your decision, roll the dice. Your guess is as good as anyone. But you're far more likely to hit something by aiming, you know, quite a ways away from where it says they're currently going than to aim directly at that. Because, you know, as you can see, even that, which looks like a great prediction, or it did 15, 20 seconds ago, he's going to outrun all those torps. So you really gotta be good to hit these things. But I have been getting torp hits. I've been getting some funny ones. Like I got a Shima that was chasing my backline Betty, and I just randomly threw them there because my twist and track was suggesting he was kind of heading that way. Hit him probably about a minute after I launched him out of the blue. It was spectacular. Maybe I'll actually add that on to the end of this if I can remember in just a couple minutes of editing time. Not to put it on here because it was kind of a funny play, but nevertheless, you know, the torps are zoning torps. You're throwing them into an area which you want to make more dangerous. They're basically 1.5 minute mines, you know, that you would deploy from long range. Fiji coming in here, we were either trying to spot him if he was out of our gun range so our team could shoot him, or since he's actually charging directly at us and he's in our range, we're going to go ahead and open fire on him as well and take him out. So I'll tag that little thing on the end here. But that's going to do it for this one. If you guys did enjoy it, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming for you all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.